General questions. So here's the place where you can find the most number of asked question, frequently asked question, and it is very helpful when you go to a exam. So I thought of like going through it and reading the answers, and meanwhile I can help myself. Yeah, let's start. What is Amazon Virtual Private Net Cloud? Amazon VPC lets you provision a logically isolated section of Amazon Web Services cloud where you can launch AWS resources in a virtual network that you define. You have a complete control over your virtual networking environment, including selecting your own IP address ranges, creation of subnets, and configuration of route tables and network gateways. You can also create a hardware virtual private network connection between your corporate data center and your VPC and leverage the AWS cloud as an extension of your corporate data center. So these are the things that you can do in a VPC. Like most of it are customizable. Even though they provide the service, they let you customize in a very easy way that you can customize the settings that you need to alter. You can easily customize the network configuration for your Amazon VPC. For example, you can create a public facing subnet for your you can easily customize your network configuration for your VPC, as I said. For example, you can create a public facing subnet for your web servers that have access to the internet. So basically, you can easily create a public facing subnet for your web servers. I don't know what they mean by that, but I am just saying it. Maybe we'll try to make sense of it, right? Like for example, you can create a public facing subnet. So what I have idea as a subnet, whenever this term called subnet is popped up, I always like forget what subnet is. So uh, s- do you guys have any idea like what is a subnet first? I always forget this. I don't know why. No, I don't need subnet mask. I just subnet is network within a net. Efficient explore how subnet mask and IP address classes works. So this is a network within a network. So it's a logical subdivision of an IP network. The practice of dividing network into two or more networks is called subnetting. Computers that belongs in the same subnet are addressed with an identical group of most significant bits of their IP addresses. So it's really good to actually have an idea about what is subnet. But the main idea that it is like you have a like huge network and you want to like have these nets which is called IP addresses. Let's call nets as IP addresses, and these things are supposed to be like kind of divided into let's say you have 5 departments and you need to have 5 subnets. So basically that's what it does. I'm not most into this VPC virtual private network and networking all this stuff, but it's essential when it comes to security, right? So when you are more clear about security, even the hacking stuffs happen relatively easily on a network level. Let's say someone is there to like hack your Wi-Fi system, rather than someone is hacking you like somewhere around the internet. It happens, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty obvious that the hacking and all these security stuff start from a network perspective. And even if you want to like if you just type teach me hacking, teach me or hacking 101, it's probably like say you something about like mobile hacking, like something really okay. There's a website for it, hacker one. there is like it's probably like Wi-Fi hacking and all those stuffs. That's what I thought, but there are other stuffs as well. So it's easier for someone to hack your web router or something like that. So I just have to to get my head around this thing called VPC. So let's go into it a bit more. You can easily customize. Okay, let me go through that again. You can easily customize your network configuration for your Amazon VPC. For example, you can create a public facing subnet for your web servers that have access to the internet. So what do you mean by public facing subnet? Probably what they mean is it's not this subnet is not like it's not private. Maybe that's what they mean. Like it's a public subnet for your web servers. Probably the web servers are private and you create a subnet. Oh no, it can't be, right? So it can be. I'm not sure. It's just the way I understand. Probably this should be private and the subnet should be, uh, in some ways, it should be public. So you can create a public facing subnet for your web servers that have access to the internet. So internet is public, so public, yeah, and place your backend system such as database or application servers in a private facing subnet. So what they meaning phasing is probably they are meaning this public or private. I just confused, like why do you have to have the phasing stuff, like why do you just can't put private subnet? Like does it add any value if you put private phasing, like it phases the private, like the back of the subnet is like face to the like it's public facing, the back is on private, so sorry, public, I don't know. So with no internet access, so what they basically mean is if you have internet access you're public, if you don't have internet access you're private. That's really great, right? I mean, who wrote this? Like, do they have a name? Do I just want a name? Just give me a name. Like this is like kind of a like I don't know. Why do you have to like write so much? Like is someone like let's say I'm a beginner and I'm reading this. I'm a beginner, so I'm reading this, and am I going to have a like am I going to have a like little more like understanding because these when you use some long words. I mean, I uh, believe that if you explain a lot, that means you cover a lot of information. That's why you explain a lot, or the way you are thinking. You don't just play with your words, right? You have to like explain a lot in order to like in order to uh, I don't know, in order to explain more, to put it in a very nice way, like. But if you're not putting it in a nice way, like you're just using jargons, like, so okay, let me go through this again. Like you can create a public facing subnet for your web servers access to the internet that have access to the internet. So if you think of it as a diagram, can you picture that something in your mind? That's the basic understanding, right? You read something and you can picture it. And what I can picture is public facing subnet for web servers that have access to the, so web servers has access to the internet, and where does this subnet comes? Yeah, like, oh, you could have explained, like you could have said like you can create a public subnet, which means it has access to the internet, and yeah, that your web server resides within your this thing, and place your backend system such as database or application servers in a private facing subnet with no internet access. Similarly, you have said that internet access is basically what you mean by differentiate private or public. You can leverage multiple layers of security. You can leverage multiple layers of security, including security groups and network access. You can leverage multiple layers of security. So here's my problem, right? I sometimes read it twice in order to, because I zone out a lot. in some case, most of the case, and but I'm trying to like overcome it, like in a sense. So please bear with me, right? I mean, if you're listening, you can leverage multiple layers of security, including security groups and network access control lists, to help control access to Amazon EC2 instance in each subnet. That's pretty great. I don't understand. Thing though, you can leverage multiple layers of security, including security groups and networks. NACL. This is called NACL, Network Access Control List, to help control access to Amazon EC2 instances in each subnet. Okay, what are the components of EVC? A virtual private cloud, subnet, of course, internet gateway, NAT gateway, virtual private gateway, peering connection, VPC endpoints, egress only, internet gateway. Let's go through this one by one. A logically isolated virtual network in AWS cloud. You define a VPC's IP address space from ranges you select. I just need to like get stuff around my head. A logically isolated virtual network. So when you mean by virtual private cloud, which is in AWS, what will come to your mind? Like, it's a private cloud, which means it's a network, it's a virtual network, right? We know cloud is a virtual network, a logically isolated. So, isolated, private. So, if you have a very private, if you go to private parties, you're a isolated rich guy, right? You're not public, you're just isolated. If you have a private home, if you have a private street, so that's what's basically it, a logically isolated virtual network in AWS cloud, a rich virtual cloud in AWS, which doesn't make sense because AWS basically means cloud, right? And cloud means virtual network, which is kind of amazing in sense. Like I'm just thinking of like why, or how someone could make this clearer, right? Like no wonder there's many courses which are sold for this AWS. You define a VPC's IP address space. You define a VPC's virtual private clouds IP address space from ranges you select. So now you get this. Forget about the rich guy and focus on this address range. So a private cloud basically means a range of IP address. That's it. That's it. That's how I want to like go with my life. A cloud is basically a range of IP addresses that you can define. That's how you define your network. Or maybe I could be wrong. A subnet, a segment of a VPC's IP address range. A segment of a VPC's IP address range where you can place groups of a VPC. Like I didn't zone out here, just I was thinking of like how can I make my YouTube videos heading really better, so that I can have some more subscribers. Currently I have one subscriber, that's all, and that's my friend. And somehow someone else is watching me. Like, there are like not zero views, like one views is from me. There are like couple 5 more views. I'm pretty sure they skipped it. I still don't know how to you know go through the analytics, but I don't want to. It's just I don't want to. I just want to learn. And if someone is listening, if you're on the other end of the world, fuck you. Just beep it. I am living under my parents. So yeah. Subnet, a segment of VPC is IP. So this is network and this is subnetwork. That's all I want to know. Internet gateway, the MSN VPC side of a connection to the public. So this is a gateway where you from VPC is private and you connect to the public. This is the gateway. NAT gateway is highly available managed network address translation. Do you know what is network address translation? So there's a video of mine, go and check it out, but I'll go through a summary for you, just a small summary. Network address translation is like you have only 5 instances, but you have only 3 network address, which is you have only 3 IP address. So what you do is you try to manage those 3 address, you switch between them. You give the 5 instances, I am sorry, right? Yeah, 5 instances, you switch between those guys. Let's say ABCD5, sorry, ABCDEFG, was it 5? Okay, let's 5 guys, and you switch between those guys, switch the address between those guys. Just be sure those guys don't get into fight. Virtual private gateway, so many gateways. So that's what this does, and that was this does. So maybe this guy connects to this guy, and this guy is Amazon. Okay, this is really getting weird. 3 gateways, what's the difference? So this guy connects to the this is the internet, and this guy connects, and this guy manage kind of a manager, translate, and let's say the project is there are only 3 resources, but they say 5, they get 5 5 projects and manage between them. Basically NAT gateway is basically a manager. And there's this virtual private guy nobody cares for. So VPN connection, virtual private network connection. What is, so when you were speaking about virtual private network connection, so what does the internet gateway does? So VPN and VPC. VPN means virtual private network, probably, I'm not sure, but this means virtual private cloud, which doesn't make sense for me. What's the difference between cloud may be the larger scale, right? Not only the network, the instances and all. Maybe that's what it means, right? Even the EC2 instance, they are also considered as virtual private cloud. And then there is virtual private network. So let's say VPN is a connection, it's a tunnel, and on the other one end is VPC, and the other end is someone, it could be a girlfriend. So just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Could be your AA girlfriend on the other end. And yeah, you go through all this shit, and yeah, So that's your summary for 3 gateways. I'm not going to overkill this. Peering connection. A peering connection enables you to route traffic via traffic via private IP address between two peered VPCs. A peering connection enables you to route traffic via private addresses between two peered VPCs. If you have two VPCs, this peering connection will help you to like route traffic via private addresses. Yes, private addresses. So VPC will have a private address, and this connection will help you to like switch between these two private. If you are rich enough to buy two VPCs, yeah, you can use peering connection. VPC endpoints, probably I can just skip this. It's the endpoint of the VPC, which I don't know what it is actually, because VPC means cloud, means it's not a network. But it's not a network. It's not a virtual network. Oh, but boom! Here you see it's a logically addressed virtual network in the cloud OS. That's VPC, but it's not a network. It's something else. I don't know. This is why you should buy courses. I personally would recommend Stephen Marek. VPC endpoints enables private connectivity to service hosted in AWS from within your VPC without using an internet gateway, VPN, network address translation devices, or firewall proxies. Egress only internet gateway, a stateful gateway to provide egress only access for IPv6 traffic from. So egress means, I think, IP6. That's all you want to remember. Stay tuned. Bye.